Welcome to the podcast, everybody. My name is Mae.
I'm Max.
And I'm Ben, and we were had.
Can you believe it?
There are twists and there are turns.
Defleshed is a standard death.
Oh, that's fun.
We were had.
We were. So today we're going to talk about the Havana Syndrome. We're going to get into geopolitics. It's about time.
It's about
The crowd has been...
People have been
We've
waiting.
been tiptoeing around geopolitics.
Yeah.
I mean,
My friends, they were just texting me. They were like, go into something deeper. You know what I mean? Do something a little heavy.
I want to
you know?
hear your guys' takes.
Yeah.
something that you know nothing about
Yeah.
and you can't speak intelligently about.
Talk
Do
about
that
something
one.
you have no business offering
Yeah.
and take.
I was doing research on this, and here was the moment where I felt like maybe we're in over our heads here a little bit. I was looking at Lawfare blog, as I do anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
And it says, but if China and Cuba were involved, would the use of directed pulsed RF energy against personnel constitute a use of force or an armed attack under international law that gives rise to the right of self-defense under Article 51 of the UN Charter?
And this was on Bob Loblaw's blog.
So that's the quick disclaimer. Most of this stuff is going to be a little more intelligible than that, but I
didn't hear a single word you said.
the right
Might
of
as well be
self-defense
speaking
under Article
Chinese.
51. All right.
This is insane. Not because of what happened, just the idea that he wrote a 10-page single-spaced document about
Yes,
this.
Max was
With
mad at me
citations.
Max is mad at me for doing preparation. This is the first.
We usually have a light iPhone note that we share with each other. This is a dissertation. This is a fucking textbook.
In 1943.
Ben literally texted us in our group chat a few days ago saying, why was it easier to cover John Benet Ramsey? And he was correct.
So true.
First of all, that story's way funnier.
Yeah, way funnier. Way less landmines to make us,
Oh, shout out
targets.
to that comment.
Which comment?
The one about John Benet Ramsey.
the hate
Oh,
comment.
yeah. Shout out. Yeah.
Someone on Reddit said, oh, leave murder out of it. I would feel bad if I was part of the family. It's like, okay, Mrs. Ramsey.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Here you go. We listened. Get ready for the Havana Syndrome. So the Havana Syndrome is a set of medical signs and symptoms experienced by United States and Canadian embassy staff in Cuba and later other places. So basically, these American ambassadors and Canadian ambassadors got super sick in Cuba. That's essentially what happened.
But nobody died.
What kind of sick? Are we going to get into that?
We're going to get into it. Basically, just to sort of give a preview, they had concussion-like symptoms. It was very strange, and we're going to get into what exactly happened to them and the mystery behind it. But some of them had long-lasting effects. One person now needs to use a hearing aid.
No.
The symptoms were they would hear a loud noise.
Right?
And then afterwards, nausea, vertigo, trouble balancing, and like I said, some of it, some hearing loss, headache, and some of them would eventually have some permanent damage done.
Whoa. It's just like jet lag.
The altitude's a little high.
They all called out because they were going to a party.
There was a wicked hungover.
They were just hungover. Yeah, I have all those symptoms right now.
Same. Max and I are drinking a beer, by the way.
I had to get back to zero. Level out.
It's 2 p.m. on a Monday.
I'm drinking coffee. I did so much research. I'm not wasting this. This is my dissertation. So, 26 Americans reported to have these symptoms, and 13 Canadians. Mainly, they were, diplomats, but some of the members of their families also got some of the sickness.
And they obviously, the other members of their family were in Cuba, not just like...
Yeah, right.
Like they returned home to the United States for
Good
what?
question.
got sick.
Good question, and yes, they were also in
Okay.
Havana.
Were they somewhere where they got sick, or did it just happen at different places?
All within the same general area, that they're staying in the same hotel and near the actual
Can I ask
embassy.
you guys, have either of you ever been in a one of those buildings? What is it?
The
embassy?
UN and stuff?
An embassy, yeah.
I don't think so.
That feels cool, right?
I don't think I've ever. I've robbed an embassy. But I don't think I've ever.
You ever met a diplomat's son or daughter?
No, I still get impressed by diplomat license plates.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
always cool.
The two flags in the back too.
Yeah, it's great.
Oh,
right?
I've never seen that. Or I guess I have, but I haven't known to pay attention to it.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway.
Let me tell you something. The reason why Ben's always louder than you, by the way, is because you keep the microphone at normal distance and his is in his throat.
I like
Yep.
to. This is one of the few episodes, by the way, where Max is in person, where we get to all be experiencing in person, and that's why he knows that I deep throat the microphone.
It's in your mouth. All right. So these people are puking a bit.
They're puking a bit. They can't hear. They're like they're concussed. I mean, that's the
That
most
sucks.
similar comparison.
You guys ever been
And-
concussed?
Yeah.
Yeah, same.
I caught a golf ball to the temple.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's bad.
This was right before college, so I started concussed.
Wow.
I was golfing with my family right before I went to college, and I was on the side, and my dad hooked it so bad he put it laterally to me. So
Oh, you were like standing next to him.
No. I was walking to my ball. I was walking along the side. I was like going to my ball, but there's no way you could ever be like, well, you were walking. I was like, you had to try to get me.
He sucks.
Yeah.
Your dad just mad at you.
We haven't golfed since.
Or spoken.
Yeah, I literally I threw up at dinner. We went to dinner
Holy
after we
shit.
finished the round. It was the 17th hole.
Wow.
I didn't do well on the 18th.
You are a warrior.
I'm a tough guy. Stop it. What happened to you?
Hockey.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
Quick,
General.
more impressive. Max finishing a golf game concussed, or Magic Johnson playing with AIDS. Go.
Me.
Okay,
Obviously, yeah. AIDS isn't real. Continue.
So these people get sick. Of course, the main questions that we're going to address is what happened to them, and was it a directed attack or is it something natural? And if it was a directed attack, who did it? That's basically, if we're breaking this down, those are the two main questions.
Yeah.
So 26 Americans, 13 Canadians, went over that. Timing-wise, first reported in August of 2017, but the events date back to December 2016. And this is very much an ongoing thing in terms of things being revealed and understanding the sickness.
Okay.
So for a few years after 2017, it was very, very mysterious what exactly happened. And there were kind of four main theories, and we'll go over it, and then I'll end it. Well, I'll go in order of the least likely into what ends up being the most
Can I
likely.
just ask a quick question? So were people in Havana, like regular civilians, having this syndrome too, or it was just U.S. and Canadian
It's
diplomats?
really directed. It's just the diplomats and their relatives.
And the symptoms are too similar to be a coincidence.
Yeah, something's going on.
Did people? So the reason why it was late reported is that people were just chalking it up to other things, and then they all figured out they were all getting sick. Is that what happened? That's when they finally were like, "Oh, something's happening here."
I think it's probably part that and part things like this would be kept on the down low until we really know something.
Because you don't want to start a war.
You don't want to start a war.
I kind of.
We're starting a war.
I'd like to start a
I
war.
think we're starting a
Yeah, I
war
would
with this
love-
podcast. Get ready.
Wouldn't mind.
Get ready, Russia.
All 50
Tune
people that
in.
listen to this podcast are gonna uprise.
You ever see the movie 300?
I wish we had 300.
Yeah, right?
That'd be
Shooting
great
for
one
the
day.
stars over here, Ben.
Tell a friend.
Please tell a friend about this podcast.
So it's just relevant now. One theory was that it was some sort of virus that was kind of quickly brushed off. Another theory, this was kind of cool, mass psychogenic illness. And basically that's sort of a few people get sick. Another word for it is mass hysteria.
Oh.
A few people get sick and it's kind of in your head.
Then I got it too.
So, like the coronavirus, for example.
Yes. Exactly.
Coronavirus, cancer, AIDS,
Yeah.
these would all fit
Right.
under depression and anxiety.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Jesus Christ. You know,
Yeah, just get a
started.
personality. Oh, I'm bipolar. Yeah, okay.
The
just
theory
boring.
that Schitt's Creek is good. I mean, there's
Yeah,
a lot.
yeah.
Okay, well that is great. So
All right. Well,
It
I'm
grows
10
on
episodes.
you.
I was like
It-
10 episodes in, and people were like, "Just wait," and I'm like, "Come on."
it's
Yeah.
great from the first episode.
No, it's not.
It is.
It is not.
It is factually
does-
good.
It grows on
It's
you.
a
though.
cute. I think it's cute.
Okay. What do you want? You need Sopranos?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I'm.
Well, you guys, if no one's getting raped in the first episode, you guys bow out.
It's true. Gossip Girl's a great show.
There's 2 rapes in the first episode.
It's a party.
First time
Shit
ever.
happens.
Things happen.
So
That's the main impression, by the way, I'm using to submit to this sketch. I'm submitting to a sketch show. Well, it remains to be seen because I can't log into this website that I'm supposed to use. But my lead impression is Chuck Bass. So
Yeah.
if this was 2008, I would really be a shoe-in for this sketch program.
They're like They're like, do a character that's super relevant for 2020, like Dr. Fauci.
Literally all I was.
And here's my Archie Bunker.
I was looking through my characters to send with Mike, and I was like, I only ever talk about teen dramas, and that is a problem. Like I thought I didn't have a niche, and it turns out I do. I'm a 14-year-old girl.
It's a very specific niche. Absolutely have a niche.
I was like, I'm too general, and it's like, no. All right, please continue with this fake story.
So that would be one idea, that it was kind of all in their heads.
Right.
The reason why this, I bring it up because I find it interesting that this can happen, but it's probably fake just because there's a lot of brain scans that were done over the course of the past few years, and like something's up. Like
You can see stuff in the scan.
yes, and it's
That's
debated what exactly you can see and which parts of the brain are affected, but there's no doubt that these people
Something.
aren't. It's not in their heads. Well, it's in their head, but you know what I mean.
Can you make a weapon that does this?
Yes.
We'll get to that.
Yes.
Okay.
And we will show a YouTube tutorial as well as how you can make it at home.
Really? Wow.
No,
If you have a
it's very
3D printer, you can take care of your enemies.
I'm pretty sure it's very sophisticated. So the other thing that's interesting is that this is some sort of ultrasound, and yes, that is the same ultrasound when you're talking about embryos, that you get the picture of the embryo.
For some reason, I heard Ultron, like the Avengers villain, but continue.
You also do Avengers stuff. You're not limited
Yeah.
to teen dramas.
That's true.
Yeah.
Thank you. I have range. Sometimes I do cartoon stuff.
Just don't get into anime.
I can't.
I would have to call the
That's
police
not true.
on you.
Avatar: The Last Airbender is one of the best shows of all time, but I can't do anything other than that. That's American anime. You know what I mean? You can't watch the other stuff.
Is anime, people into anime, is it just like a kink?
Yeah, it's perverts.
I mean,
They're
that's perverts, right?
They're perverts.
Yeah.
People love those movies, though.
I know. And
Wait, are you specifically talking about anime porn, or are you talking about...
anime, well, I thought all anime was like basically porn.
I think that is just factually inaccurate.
Yeah, I don't think that's true at all. Not all anime is porn, but all anime watchers also enjoy anime porn.
Okay, got
So it's one of those kind of things. Like
Okay,
there's
yeah.
non-porn anime, but
Yeah.
if you're watching one, you're...
I watched an anime porn once. I don't know why. But I watched it. It was
Well, now
really,
I think that you just watch a regular anime movie. You thought it was...
but it was really
Spirited Away.
disturbing. Like the whole premise was like, you know, she was like weak and helpless, and this guy was like taking advantage of her. And I was like, is it just all porn, and I just don't watch porn? Maybe
most porn is rape based,
Okay, all right. Well,
which is horrible.
that explains my fantasies.
Which brings us back to Gossip Girl.
Yeah.
So ultrasounds, I don't want to pretend like I know a lot about it, but I'll just briefly say that it is like sound waves with a higher frequency. So we kind of talked about this a little bit on the Dyatlov's Pass episode. There's going to be some parallels here with the C. Dyatlov's Pass episode. Because
Hope you guys listen to that one.
But it's basically, it's the same thing as sound waves, but it's a higher frequency so that you can't actually hear it, but it's waves. And they're all around us.
Infrasound was the one at
Yeah,
the end.
that's the
So,
word.
okay, so this is interesting.
It's on the other end of the spectrum?
Yes, exactly.
Ah.
Infrasound is the other end, and ultrasound would be on
So
the...
ultrasound sounds more painful because it's like over the sound barrier rather than like under normal sounds,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Yes, and...
So it's like more of a bass kind of a...
Yeah,
right?
but what's cool is that, and possibly this effect, right? This like humming noise or whatever it
Yeah.
is, that it is the same ultrasound that we're talking about when you take a photo of an embryo. Basically, that photo, which I never knew, it's almost like sonar. It's almost like a
Yeah.
bat. You're basically hearing it and then creating an image of it.
Oh, yeah. Have you seen the up-to-date sonograms, by the way? You can see the baby's face. Yeah, I don't like it.
So they still look like the reptiles though in there, right?
No, they look like
Little tiny
human
babies?
Yeah. I mean, it's
well,
it's
they're
crazy.
human babies at conception, May.
Call me a murderer.
Here comes the rant. All right.
All right,
So the other interesting thing about ultrasound is that this could be a natural cause of it. There is the possibility, there's a thing called the Jamaican Cricket, which inhabits
Cuba.
Havana. Yeah, just works at the Jamaican embassy.
Yeah.
And they make sounds that are possibly at such high decibel rates that it would be like almost like an ultrasound and get in someone's head. Again, why the hell is it just targeting the
Yeah,
diplomats?
I
Was
mean,
the
unless they
argument-
were like just immune to it because they grew up there.
Exactly, like the Cubans over time, just like you're immune to it. But like, Were there other diplomats in the vicinity that weren't Canadian or American? Like, were there like just random fucking Argentinian diplomats and they never got sick
I
or
think
stuff
it was
like that?
just Americans and Canadians.
But there were other diplomats, or no? There were
Well,
only...
I'm sure there are other diplomats in Cuba. I would imagine that because Cuba is like a historically controversial country or whatever, that there are less. But there's got to be, of course, especially from Russia definitely has an embassy there. We'll get to that.
So, they definitely weren't getting sick. I'll tell you that.
There is a whole book that came out in 2020 about the Havana Syndrome, and this book argues the cricket theory, basically.
Really? Who wrote it? Did the Cubans write that?
Yeah.
It was all it says is two researchers, Robert E. Bartholomew and Robert W. Ballo, and I feel like we would be remiss to not mention them in a conversation about the Havana Syndrome.
All right.
That sounds fake.
Shout out to them. And
Yeah, they're liars. Shout out to them for being liars.
They definitely stick to their guns too, even as more evidence comes out that this is probably some sort of attack.
They're just digging their heels in.
Oh, yeah, they're getting paid off.
I mean, they wrote a whole book. If I wrote a whole book on something, I would defend it till forever.
You can write a
Yeah,
book on
that's true.
anything.
It's true.
All right.
You wrote a book for this fucking episode, I think.
It's true. I should publish this. It's completely illegible. Max and Mae are trying to follow along, probably.
I
on
don't
the
even know
page,
where
and
we are.
I'm just groove. I'm hopping
guys-
from one place. I'm like a Jamaican cricket over here. I'm just.
He also included the scientific name for Jamaican field cricket, Gryllus assimilis, chirps at a frequency. Come on, who's this for? You know who you're working with.
Two
For
drunk
our
people.
listeners who dabble in Latin, which I'm sure is a couple.
Venn diagram.
Maybe
of
two,
that.
maybe three. I don't know.
My dad actually loves Latin, so here you go.
Yeah, well, he's
Hi,
busy
Max's
studying
dad.
that and not playing golf because he fucking sucks.
Oh yeah.
So, chirping cricket. Okay. So, the most likely thing that's going on here is another thing that we use in our daily life, microwaves.
Wow.
Okay.
So, now we were talking about the sound spectrum. Now we're talking light spectrum. Microwave would be higher frequency past infrared or ultraviolet, past ultraviolet.
Yes.
So again, it's the same thing as a light wave. It's just not perceptible to the eye. And microwaves are all around us, and radio waves, which are even more higher frequency, are all around us.
Mm-hmm.
So I listened to this whole podcast where they're like talking about how people say radio waves and microwaves are dangerous for you, like with computers on your crotch and cell phones giving you cancer and all that stuff. And the guy's
Right.
like, that's not true. They're all around us.
We can't escape them, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
Like, even
yeah.
if I didn't have a computer in my house, there would still be radio waves around me. Is that what you're saying?
There are radio waves all around us. Yeah, at all
Okay.
times.
Whatever
Okay.
happened to you remember the old thing where like they were like, don't stare at at your food in the microwave. It'll kill you.
What? No.
That wasn't a thing?
I do that all the time. I
That was
watch
like-
it.
I literally go in the microwave with the food. But no,
It rotates. It's the most entertaining thing in the world.
It's cool. But like, I think that was like one of those things where it's like, don't eat cookie dough, you'll get sick, or like don't turn the light on in the car, the cops will pull you over.
Oh, really? I've been doing all these things.
Those are all. I mean, they're all lies. They're not
Yeah,
real.
yeah.
Go ahead,
So,
stick your hand in the microwave. Go see what happens.
a little tinfoil. Try a little tinfoil in there.
Tinfoil.
Yeah, try a little tinfoil.
How do you heat your metal?
So microwaves would be the culprit here, and it would be some sort of weapon, as you guys alluded to before. Is this weapon possible? Yes, it is probably possible. There is historic precedent for it. There was a thing called the Moscow Signal, which was from the 50s through the 70s, where the Russians used some sort of microwave-like technology, probably to bug the American embassy in Moscow.
Okay.
Now, when you say they don't just have tiny mics to just like leave places, when you're bugging something, why does it have to be extra
I guess
science?
they're more sophisticated. I don't know. It's like even harder to perceive, although they did like perceive it. So, so that's another thing that we'll get to, and we'll talk about which countries could be involved and who would be directing the attack. Like a question, as Mae said at the Dyatlov Pass podcast, is why the hell are they doing this?
Yeah.
Like, why just to make a few diplomats pretty sick?
Yeah.
So I think that it has to do with like bugging or trying to get some information through these waves. But at the same time, I didn't find many articles that says that explicitly. So I'm still a little confused by all this.
How do you mean give them info? Like, what do you mean get
That
information?
somehow they would be able to, using these waves to like, I'm totally bullshitting here,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like to like break in to
Someone's brain?
conversations.
Oh.
I don't know someone's brain,
was like,
but
what?
no, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Someone's breaking into your brain?
No, I mean, it would just be more like, the equivalent of bugging the place, but just in a more stealth way.
Oh, okay.
I think
Yeah, maybe.
that makes more sense than just, I mean, otherwise it's just like kind of...
It's like a practical joke.
It's like a practical joke.
Yeah, like, okay, they're going to barf, and that's really funny. We did that, and they don't know why, but it's like, that doesn't give you any advantage.
Yeah, and of course it is funny. I understand.
I mean, it is a classic bit.
Yeah.
Does anybody poop in their pants from this? Like, does it involve?
Yeah, that would
There
be
are
fun.
no exact records of it, but I will do further research on that.
I'd like to know about
I
it.
thought they did,
If
yeah.
any diplomats would like to call in who have been affected,
Yes, go ahead. Because I feel like if you're nauseous,
Goes both ways.
they're puking? Are they puking?
They're definitely puking.
They're definitely puking.
Yeah.
Eventually it comes out both ends.
So in December, so this thing is being updated constantly. In December 2020, so very recently, there is a report that came out from the U.S. National Academy of Sciences, claiming at least to be sort of objective, because there are a lot of political ramifications here.
Right.
Yeah.
And it says that directed microwave radiation was the likely cause of illnesses among American diplomats in Cuba and China. Oh, fuck, China. So there were other... Rewind for a second. Basically, there have been reports since the 2017 incident in Cuba where a very similar thing has happened, most notably in China.
Okay.
Two also Americans?
To American diplomats.
That's very suspicious. Like, why those two countries and nowhere else? Obviously...
There were a few all over the place. So,
Oh, really? Okay.
At least, so China and Cuba were the only really reported cases that were quote unquote official. But diplomats have claimed that they had similar symptoms in Poland.
American diplomats.
Yes, in Poland, in the UK. I think there were a couple other countries.
Are we just wicked weak like
I was
we
just
are
going
with
to say, have we
peanuts?
considered our diplomats are just pussies?
Yeah. They all have peanut allergies and shit. They're like, oh, my ears hurt.
This is what happens when you let millennials go into diplomacy.
God, when you don't give them a gluten-free meal at the gala. I just like this, by the way. After the report came out in 2020, there was a BuzzFeed article, and the title of it was "Scientists are slamming a report saying microwave attacks could have caused Havana Syndrome in diplomats."
Everyone reading BuzzFeed is like, what? Huh? I'm looking for top 10 sandwiches I might be
Max's
today.
TikToks. What's going on here?
Thank you very much. I do love when BuzzFeed articles are like, Oprah's being dragged for murdering her son online. You know what I mean? It's like,
What?
this is serious news. Why are you using that language?
So I think we're about ready to get into the question of who did it.
Yeah.
And we could...
So there were only two. It's either microwaves.
So
Or
ultrasound, which
crickets.
would involve crickets, the diseases, like a virus kind of thing.
Viral weapon.
And the other thing other than microwaves was the mass hysteria.
But isn't that just an abstract?
I think so. And I think that those would be... I think some people, including the Bartholomew guy, kind of mixed a few of the theories together. But the point of that long book was basically that it's not a directed attack. So then they would just throw a lot of other theories at you.
Did you? I'm sorry if you already said this, but I have a hard time paying attention to you. Had you said this has been happening for years, or when did it start?
2016. December 2016 is the first case.
So this is this new sophisticated technology, if it is new technology?
Well, okay, so that's a great lead into this. American relations with Cuba.
Right.
Very, very tense for many, many years, certainly during the Cold War, but also afterwards.
Yes.
In 2014, there's what's known as the Cuban Thaw, which is basically that Obama started opening up Cuba, including in 2014 opening up an embassy in Havana. So we've only had an embassy there since 2014.
Right. He wore that tan suit. Everyone got excited.
That's exactly
Yeah. Is that where he wore the tan suit?
No. He wore a tan suit and a fedora like Hannibal Lecter at the end of Silence of the Lambs. Just kidding. So the timeline here is kind of important, right?
Yeah.
So December 2016, that would be right before Trump took office, but Trump already is elected.
He's elected.
Right.
Right.
And during his campaign, Trump is making it very clear that he's going to, and as he did, reverse basically everything that Obama did with foreign policy.
Could it have been Hillary?
It's most likely. I said it was a
episode.
cricket, not far from a lizard.
Every episode, it's aliens
Or
Hillary Clinton.
Hillary Rodham Clinton.
So sure enough, Trump did kind of harden the American stance on Cuba during his presidency. In 2017, and the U.S. Trump said basically explicitly in October 2017, right after the report came out, I do believe Cuba's responsible. I do believe that.
Oh.
Again, he's not one to just quickly make
That's
rash
not who he
judgments.
is. I mean, the guy's a thinker.
And it's a very unusual attack, as you know, but I do believe Cuba is responsible. Yeah, you could do it in his voice, but you hear it in your head. And
I was just thinking about it. I was like, I can't.
You did it in your head. You're like,
Yeah.
it does check out, right?
Yeah.
He just keeps repeating it. It was tremendous attack. It was
Tremendous attack.
So Cuban officials deny it. They say it's, quote, science fiction and slander.
All right.
And the fact
How
that...
convenient for them.
But I will say that... And they cooperate with a U.S. investigation of the incidents, which is largely about all of these symptoms that we're talking about and like how to find the root of it medically.
Okay.
But here's the thing. The fact that it happens in China in 2018 is like, well, maybe Cuba isn't the one behind it.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, there are other places, this is what we were talking about at the beginning, that there are other countries with embassies there. So, like, there are other, it could be another country, even though it's technically in Cuba, the embassy.
That makes sense.
What if, I mean, it could also be, let's not rule the CIA out, those pricks.
Yep. So I have the note here that the CIA, that's exactly right, that there is the theory that the CIA planted it, and that would coincide with, if Trump wants to move away from Cuba, then plants it with the CIA, he's got an excuse.
Yeah.
Oh.
You could be like, see, they don't want us there. They're being shady anyway. We shouldn't be dealing with these people.
Right.
Which is fucking right out of the CIA playbook, let me tell you that.
So we're not going to eliminate that. Although it is, I don't want to insult the CIA because also the CIA, many CIA members are the victims of this illness. So it's...
to take them off the set?
yeah, exactly.
There's something. Perfect crime.
It is the perfect crime. So the China thing happens. I guess you could argue that China has something to do with it, but it's the same sort of argument. It's like we're seeing it now in all these other places. So like what's the link? So I gave you a little bit of a background with U.S.-Cuba relations. The main suspect here is Russia.
Of course.
It always comes back to Russia.
It always comes back to Russia, and there is even, I want to find this quote real quick.
I love your Russia section. It says Russia? 5 question marks.
So basically, there's a quote here, and I'm not finding the exact quote exactly, but it's essentially saying it was like some person in the U.S. Foreign Service that says, like, listen, espionage is in the Russians' blood. Like, they just... And that this goes back
like
to
it.
but that kind of goes back to like why they would maybe do it.
Yeah.
Is this idea of like
Making the Americans weak.
Make the Americans weak, and also ever since communism fell, we're like kind of not that popular anymore. No one considers us a world power. Like, let's just fuck with people.
Yeah. Yeah, he is a petty hoe.
He's petty.
He's just stirring the pot.
Yeah.
You gotta respect it. I respect that.
The hero
If Russia were a
of this,
person, it would be Max.
I'm little baby Putin.
Max does rip his shirt off about the same amount, so I could see Max like shirtless on a horse.
Of course.
That sounds cool. I wouldn't ride the horse, but I for a photo shoot, I would do it.
We would Photoshop in the horse.
I said to Mark the other day, I was like, in what context was he shirtless on a horse? And Mark was like, I would be shirtless on a horse. I was like, when would you be
Why
shirtless
would you wear
on
a
horse?
shirt on a horse?
I guess you're right.
There's nothing more powerful than that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to ride a horse, you might as well
You gotta rip that top
go
off.
for it. Yeah.
There's
Pop
also a
that
thing.
top off.
My uncle, who's from
That top off.
my uncle, who's from the former Soviet Union, his favorite thing to do is to go basically shirtless in the snow. That might just be a Russian thing to like.
Yeah.
Like it's very to
It's
wash
like
yourself.
masculine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh. That's what Russians love: shirtless and making people's brains blow up.
2 favorite things.
2 favorite things, and also coincidentally, me. My favorite things. Same. All right, so you think it's Moscow?
So I said that Moscow embassy thing.
Bless you.
Oh, thank you.
I said the Moscow embassy thing from the beginning, like, they kind of have a history of this. And America, we don't have to get into like all the, American relations with Russia, because that was very complicated under Trump. Was he, did they have the P tape or whatever? Was he in their back
the
pocket?
dossier.
The dossier,
Yeah.
all that stuff. So there's no reason to.
The 12 Angry Democrats, all that kind of stuff. What was
Nancy
it?
Pelosi.
Nancy Pelosi. What's this NSA bathing?
We're just gonna say names.
NSA, Chuck Schumer.
Chuck Schumer.
Yeah.
David Duchovny.
David Duchovny.
I don't know any context or what they said about it. We're just saying
It's just but we sound smart, I think.
I
does
think so,
sound
yeah.
smart.
Are we
Right.
convincing you guys?
What is this that the NSA, something about bathing a target's living quarters in microwaves? They caught somebody doing that? Suspicions that Russia used an energy weapon in 2014 to, quote, bathe a target's living quarters in
Yeah, so
microwaves.
I see where you're looking. Which causes
He
nervous
can't even
damage
keep up
system.
with his own fucking document.
No, I absolutely can't.
This thing is dense.
This is I wrote something greater than myself. So yeah, there are these instances before where it's like very likely that they would have
cool.
access to a weapon like
Can
this.
I also say, like, space weapons, like future weapons, I would like to move to that kind of... Bullets are so crass.
Oh, this really is science fiction stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's sick. I imagine it coming out of like a ray gun or something.
Yeah, that is what it feels like.
Pew, 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 pew. Someone outside of the window just being like... all right, so let's move
So very
forward.
briefly, Obama's relationship with Russia, and not great. During that time period, you have the Crimea crisis. You have I'm just going to name stuff: the Syrian war, the Edward Snowden asylum thing, whether they interfered in the election in 2016. And then this is a quote that I like: when Obama and Putin met, there was a guy who said, "There can rarely have been two world leaders so obviously physically uncomfortable in one another's presence."
Whoa.
Putin was so jealous of Obama.
Oh, yeah.
The guy's cool.
He is cool.
I don't know what to tell you.
And
Objective fact.
so basically, the signs do point towards Russia. There was another instance of this, a similar thing in Australia recently, where the experts said that it could possibly be Russia. And that's kind of where we're at now.
Russia is crazy.
I love how so many times in history things just like they investigate, and it's like turns out, yep, probably Russia, and then nobody does anything about it.
Yeah, and everyone just agrees on that. They're
Yeah,
like,
it's
well,
like,
it was Russia.
it was
and I'm
Russia.
like, how? Russian civilians?
Yeah.
Russian government? Russian
And they also,
military?
they
What are we
always do that
talking
thing
about?
like where it's like the government's like, well, it wasn't us. That was one lone
Russian.
Russian.
And I'm like, why are the Russians so much
Yeah.
smarter than our fucking government?
Yeah, I
then?
love when their government comes out and you're like, how Russians can be, Like, didn't they like kill a bunch of people? Like, well, they definitely assassinated a few people a couple years in a row, right? On foreign soil. They like poisoned a guy.
I feel like you're also underrating, though, our Secret Service. We've done some pretty intense stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
Nobody's nice. Nobody's a good
No.
person.
KGB versus CIA is like a good, that's an epic battle.
Yeah, who's winning one-on-one?
Like in a fight?
Yeah.
Bar fight?
Yeah, sure, bar fight.
KGB.
Come on. Well, they have the fucking space weapons. Sir, can I help you? Greg's just laying down on the box here. Look at him.
You're supposed to be involved.
He's
I
an
can see
angel.
Greg as a Russian agent.
He's an
Oh,
angel.
yeah.
He
He's
is a
helping
Russian.
them right
Are you
now.
kidding me?
He's getting closer to us because he's bugged, so he needs the chip.
I do have a headache coming on.
Yeah, me too. Greggy, stop hurting everybody.
Greggy, mommy's gonna throw up. Stop.
He's like, third time this week, you fucking booze bag.
Now Ben is just reading through his document because I think he's actually a little lost at this point.
I'm not
But-
lost.
oh,
I'm
yeah.
trying to see if there's anything else. I mean, I kind of just want to blame it on Russia, and we could talk about our different, theories or what makes sense, what doesn't make
Wait,
sense.
I'm
The
saying
last-
something about the Miss Universe pageant. Let's talk about what is that?
That has to do with possibly the Steele dossier thing that Trump would be blackmailed by Russia.
Oh, okay.
It is a weird note. I will admit that I wrote a weird note here. Oh, right. Trump was reportedly given a gift from Putin the weekend of the Miss Universe pageant, which I suppose was in Russia. Putin argued that he did not know Trump was in Russia for the Miss Universe pageant. Basically, in this document, I put a lot of stuff about the relationship between Putin and Trump and about the ways that they were very cozy, the ways that there was actually, not a good relationship between the two of them.
Yeah, it was a frenemy.
It's friendly. There's a lot of sexual tension there.
Just fuck already. Here at the end of this document, you can see Ben just, I think, lost his mind here because then
I think I have this disease. I mean, if you read this,
there's just Taiwan, Georgia, UK, Poland is with no context. Then the next sentence says doesn't regrow, doesn't replace itself. Dash white matter.
Are you talking about the brain? Did they lose parts of their brain? Is that what white matter is?
There was a debate of what parts of the brain it actually impacted.
Okay.
So white matter is part of the central nervous system, and it was debated whether it has a lot to do with motor function. I don't know why I just monitored jerking off. The
main use of motor function.
I'm jerking off in the middle of the thing. That wasn't even realistic. I don't use my left hand. But essentially, yeah, they were, when they were doing investigations of it, they were trying to see what part, and I think they did conclude that it fucks with the white matter.
Wow.
Wild.
So what the long-term... There also is a debate about how these Canadian victims and American victims should be compensated by the government, because pretty clearly, so far, it seems like the governments have been like, whatever.
True. And they have, personal injuries from work.
Yeah. I mean, they put their lives on the line.
Yeah.
Without realizing... I mean, I guess it's a dangerous job, but you wouldn't realize that this would happen.
No.
There was a 2019 thing where it says that Russians would roofie CIA officers at receptions in U.S. embassies. So there's a lot of proof here that the Russians aren't above much.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of fun.
Oh, they're garbage.
Yeah.
They're garbage people in a garbage country. I'll say.
And any spawn coming out of there. Benjamin Kirschenbaum.
I'm not Russian.
Wow.
Jewish Russian is not Russian.
It's a different kind of beast.
Call us what you will.
I'm just mad at him for not giving me a coffee. You
want to get one after this?
I would love to.
Let's do that.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're gonna have to do that. Was it nice out?
No, it's terrible outside.
It was fucking pouring on the way here.
It's like Russia out there.
Yeah. I was wearing. I was wearing a fucking wool coat walking over here. I was so just pissed.
Kind of like in Russia.
So where are we leaving this? I mean, it feels like we were had, but it's sadder when we as a country are had by another country.
Yes, this is the first time where we represent 350 million people,
and they were
as
all
well we should.
Yeah.
But I don't like it. I don't think that we should overlook the fact that it might just be the fact that our diplomats are just losers.
Yeah, that's a theory that I'm...
Yeah, really kick them when they're down.
What qualifications do you need to become a diplomat?
No other usable skills.
Last in medical school.
Couldn't pass the bar.
Not funny enough to be a stand-up.
These people are dying.
They're dying. They have hearing aids and all this stuff.
Wait, they're not actually dying though, right? They're just
It doesn't seem like they're dying. It seems like there are some permanent. But again, this is
their
only
life
a few
is
years.
never the same.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Not funny. I mean, I do feel bad for that. Really, Russia.
We're having fun though.
Where do we leave this one? I'm excited for us to. We might have video with this. We're filming this.
Yeah.
Might be the first time.
Oh.
Nope. Yeah, we're not gonna have video. Actually, just turn in. Actually, it hasn't been recording for most of this time.
God damn it! Listen.
Well, I might be able to pull a clip or two if it recorded for a bit.
That's all that matters.
Yeah. That's it.
All right, let's end this podcast before we just have a conversation.
Yeah.
Should we just keep recording when we go for coffee? Can we take it?
So I guess where we leave it is that it's most likely microwaves. It's most likely a weapon by the Russians. That's what it is as of. Should I say the date, or are we keeping this in the can for a while? That's what it is as of 2021. So as of February 22nd, 2021, which I believe was the birthday of my third grade girlfriend.
Happy birthday.
I got her earrings.
Wow, really?
Definitely not like $5 earrings.
It's still more than you should get a third grade girlfriend.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I'm a generous lover. We weren't having sex. I don't know why I said I was in third grade too. What's going on? All right. All right. Well, before I screw myself over even more, let's end the podcast. So I think it's Russians. And also, here's the thing that we might not include in the pod, but like just in general, we should be on the Instagram page providing updates on all of these mysteries.
Yeah, we should be, because Dyatlov's Pass has an update. A bunch of tourists went missing in the same fucking area.
Yeah.
So we'll do a few updates on that.
And this one for sure is going to have updates over the coming months. So let's do that. Otherwise, for now, we were had.
We were definitely had, but I think it had to do with the Russians. TBH.
We were had, but we know
TBQH.
exactly what happened.
Yeah.
It's one of those
It's just not
things.
proving
Yeah,
what we already
there's
know.
red tape. You know what I mean? We can't say it. I'll say it. I'm brave enough. It was the Russians.
This podcast just gets shadow banned.
Putin kills Max before the next.
Bring it on. I'll be shirtless waiting.
I see a red dot sniper thing coming.
I just like start getting super nauseous.
All right, let's go get a coffee, yeah?
Yeah.
Let's get some coffee.